Hey guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review for We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough. This is what I would consider to be an adult gothic psychological horror story. And this is actually Sarah Pinborough's newest release for 2025. It came out earlier in the year, but I wanted to hold off to read it until the fall. When it comes to this author, I have only read one other book by them. And I was actually really late to the party with that book. The book is Behind Her Eyes. It has been released for years at this point, and it's even a show on Netflix, but I did not get a chance to experience that story until earlier this year, and I really enjoyed it. Now, my expectations for that story was through the roof because everybody raved about it, especially the twist at the end. And so when I went into that story, I had high expectations, and I will say I really enjoyed it and it did not let me down. After reading that story and finding out that they had a new release for this year, I of course had some high expectations for this one as well. So we are going to start off with a synopsis of the story, and then I'm going to jump into my thoughts. Now, this is going to be a shorter review because this book is pretty short. It's less than 300 pages. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm going to be somewhat brief about my thoughts, but we will go ahead and get started. So in We Live Here Now, we followed married couple Emily and Freddie. And at the start of the story, they have moved to this isolated house in the countryside where the property is called Larkin Lodge. And from the very beginning, we learn that they ended up moving to this place because Emily is still recovering from a really bad injury that she suffered. So about a year prior to them moving, while on a hike with Freddie, she actually had a really bad fall, so bad to the point that she was in a coma for a few months and even suffered from sepsis. And because of that, because she is still recovering from her injury, she is on a lot of different medications. So both of them decided that to help her recover, they're going to move into this new property, and they also thought that this would be a good chance for them to grow closer as a couple. Of course, as soon as they move into this house, strange things start to happen. And the very first thing that happens is that Emily finds a dead crow, and it literally goes downhill from there. All kind of crazy things start to happen in this house. And of course, Emily is the only one that seems to be experiencing any of this. There is points where she's hearing a lot of weird noises, especially coming from the third floor. She is starting to smell this really strong, nasty, pungent odor. There's this weird thing between Emily and Freddie where he is always freezing cold and then she is always hot, and they can't ever seem to get on the same page, and they keep blaming each other about their body temperature basically. And so there's also these moments where Emily is starting to see things that other people aren't seeing. For instance, one minute the fireplace is going and then the next minute it's not, and then it's going again. There would be books that she has put on her bookshelf that is there one minute, and then the next minute they're on the floor, and then the next minute they're back on the shelf. So she is experiencing a lot of strange things, and she can't really talk to Freddie about it because Freddie believes that she is suffering from some side effects from her medication. So he thinks that she is suffering from hallucinations and paranoia. He is so worried to the fact that at some point, he tries to get her doctor involved. So he is not a good person to talk to about the things that is going on. So throughout the story, they start to make some friends with the locals, and Emily starts to get some more insight into the history of the house, and the story takes off from there. So the first thing that I really enjoyed about the story is just the house itself. It is basically a character within itself. I am a fan of any story where the characters are isolated somewhere, and that is exactly what we got in here. The story primarily takes place in this house. There are some really creepy scenes, some really eerie scenes. This is like the perfect book to read in the fall because you will be unsettled at certain parts in this story. Another thing that I really liked about this story is the characters. So starting with Emily, I really liked her because she is basically an unreliable narrator. I mentioned it before that she is on all of these medications for her injury. And so we basically do not know if what she is experiencing is real or not, especially when some of the things that she says is happening in the house can be easily explained away. So I like the fact that we cannot trust her. I know that doesn't work for some people with unreliable narrators, but in the context of this story, I think it really works. It didn't come off cheesy like sometimes it comes off in other stories. I really feel like it made sense in this story. I also liked that the story is primarily told from Emily's POV, but there are certain chapters that we get from Freddie's POV, which I really appreciated because I like the fact that we actually got to hear his thoughts about how he felt with Emily experiencing the things that he was experiencing. Now, we also learned throughout this story that Emily and Freddie's marriage is not in the best spot. They both have some secrets that are slowly revealed throughout the story, and some of those secrets contribute to the reason why they are actually at Larkin Lodge. We also get this random POV from a crow that sounds weird, especially after I mentioned there was like a dead crow in the beginning, but it actually makes sense, and I actually liked getting that POV as well. Now, I mentioned in the beginning that I was really looking forward to this book to see what type of twist we were going to get in this story. And let me tell you, Sarah Pinborough delivered on the twist. I don't think I would have ever guessed what actually was going on in this house. I had a few theories into what could have possibly been going on, but they were not right. And I loved where the story went. I also liked that we were starting to get pieces put together throughout the story and not just like all at the end. And then the very end of the story, I really liked. So if you read Behind Her Eyes, now I can't speak for her other books, but if you read Behind Her Eyes and you really was blown away by the twist in that story, I would say check out this book as well. Outside of those things, I thought that the story overall had really good pacing. The chapters are pretty short, so it feels like you are flying through the story. There is always something happening. I never felt like there was a dull moment in the story at all. And the biggest thing is the conclusion to the story was very, very satisfying. So overall, if you couldn't tell, I gave this story 5 stars. I haven't rated a book 5 stars in a while, but this one is definitely a 5-star read. And this is definitely a book that I would recommend to anybody that is looking for a good fall time read, especially if you are a reader that is into haunted house stories. This would be a good story for you. I know that this was a pretty short review, but like I said, I did not want to spoil anything for you guys. This is a book that I would say, go ahead, go out, pick it up, check it out, and then report back to me on your thoughts. But that is all that I have for you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.